I'm going to call this Affordable Housing Trust meeting to order at 7 o'clock. We're going to start by welcoming our new member, Brian. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we're going to reorganize. So first up is nominations for chair. Anybody like to be chair of the Affordable Housing Trust?
Madam Vice Chair, I'd nominate Dan Kusher for chair.
I can second that. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Do you accept the nomination?
I guess so. Does anybody else want to do it? Anybody else? Anybody?
Nicole,
All
you
right.
interested? Brian?
Baptism by fire.
Okay. All right, so motion made and seconded, and you accept. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried, and it is now your meeting, Mr. Chair.
All right. Let me borrow this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So next on the agenda. Oh wait, yeah. So we're still on reorganization. We have. So your vice chair and treasurer.
Yeah, we can drop one. I don't need to be everything. I can just do one. I can share.
So we have those two. I think technically we have a clerk that doesn't do anything because we have staff.
Correct.
So I don't know if we want to pick a clerk as well, but
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, everyone.
and yeah. So any interest in treasurer, vice chair, or clerk from anybody? I was the clerk, so I feel like we could just drop clerk if we.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, we have paid staff at this point.
Yeah.
But that's a.
And so, are you interested in continuing as either or both of those?
I don't mind being vice chair. If anybody else wants it, I do not mind stepping away.
I'd be happy to nominate Colleen as vice chair.
Motion
Second.
made and seconded. Do you accept this
I accept
nomination?
the nomination.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. We since we have a Zoom member of the trust now, we're going to do a roll call. So we'll vote by roll call. Colleen.
Aye.
Dan. Aye.
Nicole, aye.
Brian, aye.
Right. Yep. And Sarah.
Aye.
All right. Motion passed. And treasurer. Anybody interested in doing the treasurer role?
I nominate Brian.
I was
to
gonna
be
say, I
treasurer.
don't need to jump in if anybody else is interested. I'm a CPA by trade. It seems
Oh,
like
it's definitely
it would
Brian.
be in my wheelhouse, but
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Sure. I would accept. I don't know if that got a second.
Someone
Second.
needs, yeah, there we go.
All right. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. By roll
Aye.
call. Dan, aye.
Nicole, aye.
Brian, aye.
And Sarah.
Aye.
All right. We are reorganized.
Woohoo.
Nice.
Cool. So next we have the update on lots 74, 52, and 48 at High Point Drive. Fiona, do you have the update?
I do have the update. So I met with Laura Schufel, Emma McCurran, and Karsten, who you'll all meet eventually at MHP via a Teams call a few weeks ago to discuss the follow-up from the application. So I am working with them to schedule a couple of different things, namely a site visit for likely early August. It could be the end of July, where I'm waiting for them to get back to me on some final dates, but I did want to put a bug in everyone's ear about being available for that, and then we can post that meeting if we get a quorum. We're all going to walk the site, kind of talk through some of the specifics. I want them to take a look at that particularly tricky lot with the very steep slopes and the large basin. I have gotten them the plans, as-built, some septic information. I was confirming with the Conservation Commission about any wetland delineations on file. There is none, so we'll likely need to do that. I spoke with Kathleen on a title report. I believe she did that as part of the High Point settlement. It was in the checklist, but she's working on compiling that paperwork for us before she goes away in July. So the for I guess for folks who may need a refresher who don't know, we did receive it's called a HOPL loan through the Mass Housing Partnership. It's basically a forgivable loan that is not that would be repaid at the end of construction via developer costs. And we are we're going to pursue a feasibility study to develop the final 3 lots of the High Point project that were gifted to the trust by the town. The 3 lots are because of the challenges that are existing on each site, we do want to make sure that we are studying them thoroughly and that we are fully prepared when we issue the request for proposals for developers. So there have all of that kind of development due diligence work done, and they're basically ready to go. So the loan is $35,000. One thing that I did, and I know this is on the agenda to discuss now, is they did ask if local funds would be available to assist in the effort if needed. I pulled the financials for the trust, just touch base with Mary in accounting. Monies are available, but I definitely wanted to put the question out there. At most it would probably be 20 to 25% of that 35,000. So, I think it would be, what is that 7,000 that we would potentially be asked to contribute to the effort, but it's not mandatory. But it is just something that makes us a bit more competitive and might move the process along. And they did ask me to confirm that with you all, and then maybe we can have a discussion about that. And if we want more time to think about it, I mean, we're still again collecting data, sending things to MHP, and still kind of working through things until the site visit. But once the site visit is done, I believe that it'll be kind of hitting the ground running with this. They did another thing that we can discuss as well is there was a couple of different ideas that were floated for what would go on the lot. So I did say that it seemed like the trust, you all, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll let them know, is leaning toward duplexes on each to get kind of the maximum amount of units that we can, considering like the surrounding neighborhood. So, if that's changed or we want to talk about that, I will need to let them know that as well. So basically, we're in good spot. We've met with them twice, and they're already starting work on their end, and I'm working on things through my end, and I think we're kind of off to the races. So this is a good thing.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So you're saying that we would need an additional $7,000 out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund on top of the loan that we're getting to conduct
Yes, so
studies?
they did. So and in the application, they asked if local funds were available, and they did ask me that question again when I met with them. And I said the trust does have funds, obviously, but I would need to discuss with you all if you were comfortable with putting funding toward this effort, and what that would look like. It's not required, but because they've asked a few times, they just wanted to make sure that we were covering that base.
Can I ask a question? In the beginning, you said that the loan gets paid back after construction. Did I have that right? Or through the construction process? Would we get reimbursed for the funds that we contribute?
Yes, I believe so. Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. So it seems like an easy. So do you have a specific motion in mind for us to make, or should we wait until the next meeting? How time? sensitive is this?
It's not time sensitive, and I don't think a motion needs to be made this evening, but I just wanted to make, have the start the conversation. And if there was any, objections or concerns or things that I needed to follow up with additional questions you all may have, because I would like to have, some consensus from you folks prior to that site walk, if possible.
So is it that we're more likely to get it if we contribute some funds, or is it that they just take that into account?
Well, yeah, because it's kind of funky because my understanding is we have it. But I think as we're, I don't know if they're trying to account for if there's going to be needs beyond what the loan can cover and the town can assist in that regard. It's likely what it is, but yeah, that's my understanding is that because they basically I've gotten my marching orders and they're doing making preparations on their end, so I think we have it. So
Mr. Chair. And Fiona, I thought originally, even going back to prior meetings, this had been framed as kind of a forgivable loan. Is there still a way to get to forgiveness, or would this be repaid by a developer no matter what?
It would be repaid by the developer no matter what.
Okay, so is the
Yeah.
forgiveness just that the trust isn't on the hook for it? So
Yes.
somebody else is paying? Okay, so it's not
Yeah.
MHP that's forgiving it.
Right. Yeah, it's like extremely low risk for the town, which is nice.
It kind of reminds me of like CPC grants when they give them out. They like to see contributions somewhere else too. So that kind of makes sense to me in that aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, can't make a motion tonight. I mean, the schedule a site visit Mass Housing Partnerships on there, but I don't know if we should make it more official with an agenda item. It's up to you, Mr. Chair, how you would. 'Cause it also is an update on High Point Drives on there, but
I feel like discuss use of affordable housing trust funds can include
Yeah.
a motion.
Do we want to set a cap, or I mean, or just authorize Fiona to keep making the statements? It sounds like she's been making that we have funds and would be would entertain putting them up to help support the project if necessary above and beyond the loan.
Yeah, Fiona, do you have a preference for what motion we could make that would be useful for you in these conversations?
I don't. I think it's more of just, I just want to make sure that the trust, your processes and whatever you'd like to do and be most comfortable with. I don't think a motion is even really necessary if everyone is fine with the potential to contribute some local trust funds toward the effort.
I would probably feel more comfortable making a motion because we are talking about spending trust fund money. So for me, I'd like to just be a little official with it, whether we need it or not. And then I guess I can make a motion if everybody's okay with it.
Sure.
I move that we authorize the town planner to offer up to 25% or $8,750 to the Mass Housing Partnership for the work done at High Point Drive.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Should I amend that with the understanding that it'll be paid back at some point? I should have probably added that.
I think we could probably cover that if and when we actually get to a number and need to
Okay,
approve spending it.
perfect. Love that.
Cool. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll vote by roll call.
Aye.
Dan, aye.
Nicole, I.
Brian, aye.
And Sarah?
Yes, aye.
And Brittany? All right, the motion carries. Cool.
Perfect.
And then I think, Fiona, we're also getting an update from you with oh wait, no, we already talked about scheduled site visit. Oh yeah, town planner report is the next thing. So we are getting another update
Yes.
from Fiona. Okay, there we go.
We're transitioning smoothly into the next item. And so just to close the loop on the site plan, so I did think that I would have had a response by MHP for now on some dates that would work for them. So I still only have a more general time frame. So I will obviously follow up with you all and make sure, I'm coordinating that once we get more clarity on specific dates and times. So town planner report, busy, it's busy, always is. So High Point has been the primary, from, in terms of like my work with the trust, kind of my primary focus. I did reach out to, Andy and his lawyer, about 25 Worcester, spoke with them to try and get a meeting on the books to talk through some of those, zoning questions that they had, as well as processes for 40B. We're pending a kind of a more formal meeting with myself and the ZBA administrator. So that's to be determined. I will follow up with them again and make sure that we're still good, and if they had any other questions. But yeah, just kind of pending that meeting, things are in the works. I think that they're still doing, what they need to do on the back end, working through financing, working through, what they need to. So that is good. It's just, I guess, be stalled for the moment, but we'll be moving along. The planning board approved the new Town of Grafton master plan, which is great. A lot of really good action items in there in terms of housing. So I would like, the trust to consider kind of going forward how we can work collaboratively to make sure that we are implementing those recommendations and making sure that that document doesn't, sit on the shelf, and that we're meeting our goals, obviously in line with the housing production plan, which those two documents talk to each other a lot, have a lot of similar recommendations in them. But yeah, I did want to, it's a really great, there's a lot of great housing data in there. If you want to nerd out on that, highly recommend. And yeah, I just think I have at the moment, the intern in my office is working through the process for kind of researching how to set up a master plan implementation committee. So I think that, the most appropriate course of action would probably be to have someone on the trust be a representative when that committee forms. It probably won't be until the fall, just because how crazy it is. Plus, there was a discussion of having the master plan approved at town meeting to get a little bit more support. So just didn't want to jump the gun and start setting up an implementation committee prior to the town meeting approval. But the board is still working through if they want to do that. I think they're pretty divided on it. Some, want to do it. Some think that there really is no point because the document is actually in effect. Like the state law says that once it's approved by the planning board, it exists, and it's, there's no other additional approvals needed. So anyway, so the master plan has been approved. It's very exciting. Stay tuned for more information about that. I've been working with the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission on assistance with drafting an ADU bylaw that's modeled off of the state's sample bylaw. I spoke with them, got their assistance through DLTA funding, which was awesome. I have a meeting with them coming up, and there's some informational webinars that the state is putting out, so I'll forward that information to you all shortly. So basically, it's probably not going to be, the changes that we make are not going to be significantly different than what the model bylaw says, just because, we really just want to make sure that we're aligning with state goals of creating housing and not doing something inadvertently contradictory. So it'll likely be, at this time, nothing's finalized, but it would likely be, accessory protected ADUs by site plan approval, just to make sure that they're meeting kind of the basic requirements of the bylaw. But otherwise, just basic kind of site plan approval with the planning board, and no kind of additional review or criteria that would be employed, just because it is a protected use under 40A. So that is happening. That project was, it was kind of really, we were really off to the races and then kind of took a little bit of a break since the model bylaw came out. It's made our lives significantly easier because we're not having to draft something from scratch. So I will keep you all posted about that. We are doing some other kind of research into some of our flexible subdivision regulations. It's kind of more high level, trying to promote the use of flexible subdivision development, which as a density bonus, which means more housing, plus you're getting some protected open space with it. So that's as opposed to like a conventional subdivision, which doesn't have open, protected open space and kind of has the more standard number of units, and you wouldn't get additional housing typically with that. So that is another exciting project that we have going on. There's a lot. I'm sorry, I'm probably blanking on, I'm probably missing something, but I'm happy to answer any questions about any of those projects that, if anyone had any, or if there's anything that you all want me to prioritize or really focus on over the next few months, let me know, and I'm happy to do that.
The flexible subdivisions,
Mhm.
so would that be that would just kind of go into the zoning, the CBL, and then that would it would not be like through like 40B or anything like that. It would just be an option available to developers who want to build, a subdivision.
Yes, yeah. So it's current, we have zoning provisions. It's also involved, the subdivision control law is involved in that. But yeah, we do have provisions in our actual zoning bylaw. There's some certain criteria that developers need to meet to develop these types of subdivisions. But yeah, it would be a zoning change. It would require a town meeting approval. But yeah, we're trying to kind of think progressively about, how we can create housing also, while also getting additional benefits such as, it doesn't have to be just kind of like, the open space, like there's a lot of scenarios and subdivisions in towns where, you're getting like, the open space could be utilized for parks, it could be utilized for trails. Like we're really just trying to kind of study the efficacy of our bylaw that we have now and kind of work through how we can improve it, and just kind of, land is also limited in town, right? So flexible development styles are preferable, rather than like these larger lots that are more conventional.
Is there somewhere online that we can read more about it, or could you send it out to us, or is it still in the preliminary phases where there's not much to read?
Yeah, it's still in the preliminary phases because CMRPC is still doing a lot of research. We do have a kind of draft survey that I'm kind of going back and forth with them on how we want the questions and like the logic of that survey to play out. But when that's when the draft is available before we go live, I can share that. That'll be great to get your feedback on
Is there
that.
any talk about creating an affordability component with it?
I would like to bolster the affordability component that's in there. I'm just, yeah, we do have a density bonus currently. So you can, but whatever we can do to make sure that we're just generating more opportunities. Some communities have done a really good job with this, and we're just kind of reviewing kind of case studies and samples now, and then we'll send out this survey.
What's the density bonus look like?
So it's usually you'll get an additional few housing lots, depending on how many, depending on the size of the subdivision that you're proposing. So
But it's not tied to affordability.
it is. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. It is. Yes. Let me go through my. Hold on one second.
Sorry, I know it's not totally. I'm just excited to.
Yeah. No.
Create a new
Absolutely. I'm
avenue.
sorry. I should have had it at the ready here. Give me 1 minute. It's been a little bit since I looked at that. Yes, so yeah, our bonus provision. Increase the number of dwelling units permitted under this bylaw, 15% of the total permitted if the proposed development complies with certain design guidelines. So 50% more, and you can get up to 20%. Yeah, so if you're meeting certain design criteria in the bylaw, you can get an additional 15, 20, or 25%, and then the units, and then the affordable. Let me just, I know there's specific language in here, I just don't want to get it wrong. Sorry, hate to make you all wait while I scroll.
I'm sorry for.
No, it's a good question. Oh, for God's sake.
So while you're looking for that, I think one thing that I think is not discussed enough around affordable housing is the lowercase a affordable units, like not deed restricted affordable, but just like we see tons and tons of these, you know, million plus, 3,000 square foot single family homes being built. You can build smaller homes. You can build, you know, with lower cost, you know, options. And if there's ways that can somehow be incentivized in our zoning, that would be nice. I don't know if that's something that's somehow part of this flexible subdivision idea, but if it could be, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's one of the recommendations in the housing production plan, as well as creating some more that like missing middle, lowercase a, affordable housing opportunities. The flexible development revisions are one way to do that. And I also did, so if you provisions for, so if you have at least 10% of the total number of dwelling units in the subdivision, deemed affordable under Mass General Law and interspersed throughout the development. So it's 10%, and then you can get additional units if you meet that criteria. So we want to, you know, it would be nice to increase that 10%, just because that's, you know, that's kind of not the numbers that we're trying to get, but yes, no, I agree, Dan. I think, you know, we'll probably need to talk through, you know, what, especially in the housing production plan, there's some of the zoning change recommendations that are in there, and start there. And then maybe, I think it would be beneficial to tease that out when we do the public forum that we have planned. And we can kind of see, you know, what, you know, pose a question like, you know, what this is, you know, these are some suggestions. These are like, you know, what are your thoughts on that? Kind of get some public buy-in. So when it comes time to go to town meeting, we can say, oh, well, we did significant outreach around this, and yeah.
Is the public forum, is that CMRPC holding a public forum that you're talking
I'm the one that I want to.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that because there was plans at some point this summer to kind of have the trust discuss all of their initiatives that they're doing currently, and I think we could probably loop that in, because it's always good to get additional feedback from the public.
This just made me think I had made a note in my cell phone, because I heard from someone on the City of Worcester EDC, which encompasses housing and affordable housing and things like that. And he was talking about how the City of Worcester implemented inclusionary zoning. So first you would have to do that. And then if a developer wants to come in and do all market rate units, then when they go to apply for the building permit, 3% of the budget or the cost to develop that goes to their affordable housing trust. I had never heard of that before, but I thought it was a really interesting concept.
So it's like a payment in lieu if they're opting to not develop the actual
Yeah,
units.
or not opting to develop, like a minimum affordable units, like the 10% or 25%.
It's a way to buy out
Buy
of
out.
doing it.
Yeah.
I've seen that in other
But
communities.
it's kind of interesting that it goes back to the Affordable Housing Trust, and then they can spend the funds in other ways.
Yeah. We just
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
ever
I've seen that
house
as
it the way they
well.
could, though.
Yeah, what Grafton does have
Right.
inclusionary zoning. The payment and the payment option we don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really cool that Worcester's EDC is heavily involved in housing.
Yeah.
Housing is an economic
Yeah,
issue.
it's interesting the way they have it is the EDC is the bigger umbrella, and then housing like fits underneath
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's awesome.
Dan,
That's
along
great.
the lines of the point you were raising, I was thinking the same thing on the ADU bylaw changes because, I'm not a lawyer, but I can't think of a way that you could ever deed restrict an ADU as an affordable unit. But we still benefit from, it's a supply and demand issue. The more supply that is out in the market, whether it's an ADU or, this flex development, the more supply that's out there, prices are going to come down. They just have to. Or at least they're going to neutralize for a little while if they don't actually come down. So, I know it's in the goals to be more vocal and to make sure that we're out there and supporting some of these bylaw changes when they come to town meeting. Whether it's capital A or lowercase a, affordable, I think we should be on board if we support it and make it clear that, we don't want to make it, I guess it's a fine line to broach because we don't want to make it sound like housing can go everywhere and anywhere. But I think there's ways to be smart about it and show our support for that.
Yeah, that actually, I want to say something about that. Going, to town meeting and supporting it. I think if we can start relatively early and reach out to other committees who would also see their committees' missions benefit from this type of thing, where you're creating open space, the Conservation Commission would be interested in that. The Open Space and Recreation Commission, I think I got that right. We could bring them on board, get their buy-in, and have multiple committees endorsing it at town meeting. I think that would go a long way to get past the sometimes knee-jerk reaction of, oh, they're just trying to shove more housing down our throats. If we can get, buy-in from other committees that will also see their work advanced by this, I think that would help.
It makes some of the same cases that are in the master plan and the housing production plan where it's like, it screams all over the place that density is a way to preserve open space. But that's an argument that I almost never hear when we get to town meeting floor. It's almost like some people tend to be, density phobic, just at the word. And I haven't heard, at least not any significant lip service be paid to the fact that, if you want to preserve the green space in town, we need housing. One way to do both is with higher density projects where they make sense.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. I'll just chime in and say, that's why we're really like the flexible development and kind of studying how we can improve that bylaw, make that work better for the town. And for everybody's interest, it's kind of a win-win because you're creating much needed housing. You're also creating additional space for other options, and preservation, conservation, parks, recreation, whatever, what have you. Yeah, and exactly like density where where we can see that works and kind of reevaluating our bylaw in other ways too down the line. But yeah, no, I think Brian just hit the nail on the head.
Cool. Anything else for town planner report?
Just quickly on the ADU piece, Fiona, I didn't know if, do you think there's a chance that that might be ready for fall town meeting, or are we looking like that's too aggressive and it might be more like spring?
We're going for fall. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, to be honest, like people are already approaching the building department with, going for their building applications, and there are already a lot that are underway. But there's just no additional review criteria. It's just kind of going in and just being able to apply for your building permit. And then Tracy has been kind of just evaluating those applications in line with the law the best she can. But at least like this will offer additional support and just very clearly kind of outline, what the town expects and kind of what we'll do going forward in terms of any additional review that may be needed. So yeah, fall.
All right. So next on the agenda is the select board report. Matt's not here, so I think unless anybody has something to bring from watching select board meetings, we can move to the next one.
Colleen.
Everybody's
So goals review. Is the idea that we're going to no, because we're going to have like a meeting where we do like a goals workshop, right? Like that's not what we're doing right now for this goals review agenda item, right?
So we've reviewed our goals now pretty diligently, and now it's just kind of checking it off the list. I think we
Okay.
just keep it on there as like a, hey, we're getting close to this one. So the outreach meeting is really like the next big thing on our goals review checklist. I know we were trying to get some dates at Apple Tree Arts to potentially host it there. I know that there's been some difficulty getting a line of communication going there that Amber is working on, but she's on vacation this week, so we might not have an update anytime. I don't know, maybe August, and we can hit it for September before town meeting, or maybe even if it ends up after town meeting and we promote it at town meeting so people come to it, something like that. Who knows?
So, and for this outreach meeting that we would host, like, are we thinking we'll have information to bring to that, or we're just gonna go there and see what people come and ask us, or like, how do we
So I think it's a
see
little
that
both,
happening?
right? Like, hey, here's an update on 25 Worcester. If you haven't heard lately, here's where we are with this. Here's an update on this project and where we are on that, and then allow feedback. And here's what we're thinking down line. Here's all of our goals. What's your feedback on that? That's kind of how I pictured it. I don't know if anybody else. And we'll have snacks, and hopefully that drives a lot of attendance. But it's just something that, because we always get, or not always, but a lot of the time we hear, I didn't know about that. So we're trying to just get more exposure and do stuff like this, and maybe it becomes an annual thing or biannual. I don't know. But
And so, Sarah here, just chiming in. I know I've been a little MIA lately since my little one in my arms has made his arrival. But I was, and I'm happy to take this on if this group thinks it would be helpful. Colleen has seen me do a little bit of this, but if it's helpful to do like a shared document, a planning document, because I know these monthly meetings, it's kind of hard to stay on top and kind of jump in. It's a little bit like double dutch, and you're trying to jump in, because I think there's just some core areas that we really need to focus on. One is the content, the speakers, logistics, the snacks, the locations, and then of course the communications out. I think if we put a lot of effort into this, we do want to make sure the town knows. So I think we all need to take ownership of that piece, but then we can just divide up the rest. So if everyone's cool with that, I'm more than happy to take that as an action item and then share over email. That way we can kind of work on it in between these meetings.
so with open meeting law, we just have to be. I love that.
Oh,
you wanna
okay.
Take this on because I think you're gonna do fantastic at it. I know you are. But
Sure.
you gotta share it to like Amber. Amber can push it out, and then we can't give you feedback until the next meeting. But at least
Gotcha. Okay.
it goes that way. But you're gonna do incredible work with this. I already know. So I think that's awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Sounds good. So I'll just outline something and send it to Amber, and then we'll review it for the next meeting.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay, sounds good.
So for that, I have all of these. It's like too much information to like just throw at everyone because you would have to like read through all of these like studies and stuff. But it's basically like a lot of like educational stuff and studies that have been done on like affordable housing and higher density housing and how it doesn't take away from your resources in town. And I think we should have something like that at one of these like get-togethers. I think it's great that we would be talking about, you know, our projects and what's going on and, you know, what do we see for the future, but I think it also makes sense to do some educating at that point too. So since we need time in between and not emailing back and forth, should I put something together, even if it's like a few slides and a PowerPoint or something, and send that to Amber, and then we can talk about it next
Yep,
time?
and you can include links in it, and then that could potentially go on the website for people to access and go
Okay.
click and go further as they choose. you know?
Okay. I will do that then for next
Sweet.
time.
Fiona, go ahead.
Yeah, Nicole, we have a bunch of really great data that I can just send to you
Okay,
from
great.
when we did the master plan, so
Yeah,
you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I've like collected it over the last, I don't know how long. So I have a
Yeah.
lot too, but yeah, send me whatever you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It would be great to just have like a general station of like what is affordable housing? What does it look like? What does it look like in your neighborhood? It looks like, that like yeah, like general information I think is really great because I think there's like just a fundamental misunderstanding. And then yeah, of course, like talking about, future goals and then like actual projects too. Yeah, that's great.
Perfect.
And cool. So meeting minutes. We have May 8th, 2025. Anybody have any corrections or concerns with the minutes?
I move we vote to accept the meeting minutes from May 8th, 2025.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
The only quick thing, so I wasn't here, but I watched the meeting. I didn't know if we wanted to try to clarify it at all in the minutes. That was the one where the trust didn't have quorum until later in the meeting.
Oh,
And so
down there.
that's the time that the minutes has the meeting being called to order is when quorum was achieved. But I think the first 2 or 3 agenda items were at least discussed prior to having quorum.
Yeah,
I think it'd
should
be
put
fine
that
as
in there.
is, but I don't know if it makes sense to kind of even if it's just a footnote for those first 3 sections that these were discussed prior to achieving quorum and
Smart.
just something along those lines. But
Nope, that's a good catch. I love that.
I mean, there weren't any votes taken, obviously, but
All right, so we can just have it be amended to include. All right, I rescind my motion. Start there. Rescind your second.
Or rescind my second.
Okay,
Gosh.
so I move to accept the
Very
meeting minutes
complicated.
from May 8th, 2025, with the amendment to include that the time of discussion versus time of actual quorum was meet to be included on the approved minutes. That kind of covers it. We can go back and check the time and be able to add it like no quorum at the headers and then quorum achieved at probably High Point or whatever it was.
yeah, and I think Amber, I'm sure can take that
Yeah, she'll
motion
figure it out.
and run with it
Yeah.
from there. So
Do we have a second?
Second?
All right. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. We'll vote by roll call.
Aye.
Dan, aye.
Nicole, I.
Brian, I.
Sarah,
Aye.
Brittany.
Aye.
All right. The minutes are passed, and we are going to adjourn. Do I have
So
a motion?
moved.
All right. Motion
Second.
to adjourn. Second. By roll call.
Colleen, aye.
Dan, aye.
Nicole, I.
Brian, I.
Sarah,
Aye.
Brittany.
Aye.
We are adjourned.